Hi all, it's ACDodd here again and welcome to another episode of On the Road Tuning with ACDodd, and this time I've got loads for you. Let's dig in. So here we are, down in Newbury, and we've got a lovely Mini 35, and this is an interesting one because if you see the registration, it's an M plate and it's the last of the carburetor cars. So this is the old Sprite engine running the HIF 38. So let's go round and have a look. Quick look inside, because I know some of my viewers like to look inside. That looks lovely. Look at that, beautiful car. And I like these cars, they're being well kept now. Right, round to the business end. So we've got the usual late Mini 1275 Sprite engine, HIF 38 carb, 65D distributor. And I'm already started to do some work on this, so let's go and have a chat with the owner and see why he's called us down. This is Josh. Josh is the owner of this lovely Mini 35. So why have you called me down, Josh?
Just for a tune-up from the previous owner. I only had it about a week or two. Is to sort of pass the emissions at the MOT time, make it a bit more lean, just improve things generally.
Okay, all right. Well, the good news is it certainly runs all right idle. So let's have a dig in and see if we not only can sort that out, but get some more power as well.
Sounds great. Yeah, lovely. Please.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay, so I've already started on this one. I've just checked the coil. We've got 0.8 ohm coil, so that's the right coil for the application. What we're going to now do is we'll just pull off a lead and then have a quick look at the resistance to see what we've actually got. These leads look fairly new, so we'll just see what they actually come in as. Let's do that again. So let's just check the resistance of that one. 1.862, that's a good lead. Okay, so I'm not going to check the rest of those. They're going to be pretty good. The plugs themselves look like they've been in there a while, so let's pull a plug and have a quick look. So I think what we will do is we'll put a new set of plugs in here. That's a good colour, in fact running ever so slightly lean, and that's a good thing, but there's a very large gap. So let's pull the rest of these and have a look. Right, okay, so we've had a look at the fueling on this one. Everything else in the engine is actually pretty good, straight out of the tin, so I'm very happy about that. The timing's right, the timing curve's right, the vacuum's working. So onto the carburetor appears to be working, but someone's fitted a treble A needle. Now, I've seen the dyno plot. This engine's got just under 55 horsepower, and that's because it's a Sprite engine with the 850 cam, so it doesn't actually need the top end fueling. So I would wager that that's probably a bit rich at the top end. But what we're seeing in terms of fueling is at 2,000 revs, this is much too rich. So what we're going to do is change this for a leaner needle. So I'm going to go back to the ABD needle, and then I'm going to modify that to give the right fueling all the way across the rev range. What somebody's done here on a dyno, I think, is they've put this in, because this engine has been on a dyno, and then they've kind of put the treble A in and gone, well, that's kind of the best fit, yeah? And it's not too bad, but it's just, you know, it's running nearly 6% CO at 2,000 revs, and of course, when you're puttering around town, that's exactly where you want it to be lean. So what we're going to do is we're going to dial that out by changing the needle. Okay, so got this one all dialed in. In the end, we changed the needle in the carburetor from the AAA that was in it back to an ABD, and then did some extensive modifications to make that one kind of a cross between an ABD and an AAA needle. We also thickened the oil up in the dashpot because it was a little bit thin. So I put some 2050 oil in the dashpot, and this one, made it fuel really well. So all in all, let's go and see what the customer thinks. Right, Josh, so you've been out for a drive. What's it like?
I'm very happy. I'm grinning from ear to ear. It runs a lot nicer through the rev range, particularly 2,000 to 3,000 RPM. I've noticed a change straight away.
Yeah.
Love it, yeah. Over the moon. Yeah, cheers.
Excellent. Interestingly, yours, it was almost right. So there was
nice.
very little needs to be done, but look at the difference.
It's
yeah,
made a hell of a difference. Yeah, it's expertise. Don't get any more, to be honest with you. So it's nice. Yeah, thanks very much.
that's all right, no problem. Last question: would you recommend this service to anyone else?
Wholeheartedly. Yeah.
All right.
Cheers, mate.
All right, thanks, Joss.
Cheers.
Now here we are up in Chippenham, and we got this nice, lovely, in fact, rebuilt Cooper mainstream. So let's go and have a look and see what we got to do. Quick look inside. Look at that. Nice original, wonderful car. And under the bonnet, all looks fairly original, with a few modifications, I'm told. So I think it's got an ACDodd RT camshaft. Engine's had a rebuild, but it's all relatively standard. So my job is, let's get it set up for running in. So this one's already got a standard factory coil on it, which will be the right resistance for the 65D Dizzy that's fitted. So no need to check that. So first up, let's have a look at the spark plugs. See how we're burning. This is a new engine, so it's not running yet, but we want to have a look and see how it's burning. So if we have a look at those, not too bad. I noticed that the HT leads were looking a bit old on this one, so I thought I'd have a cursory check, and if you can see there, we've got 8.8k of resistance. So, and that's just in that short coil lead. So there's 6.5k in the other lead. So, you know, you're looking at 15k between the 15, 16k between the coil and the spark plug. So we're going to put a new set of leads on this. Just gone through this one. Coil's right, put a new set of HT leads on, new set of spark plugs. The advanced curve is okay. The vacuum unit's working okay. The carburetor's the original one. Seems to be fueling okay at the moment. However, we were extremely lean, so the needle that was fitted was a BDM, so I'm not really sure why that's in there, but suffice to say, what we're going to do now is change that up for a needle that's at least going to make the engine run better, but we still want to be on the lean side for running in. So I'm on a restricted rev range today, so I can't take it right up the rev range, but the most important thing is to get that fueling under control, so at least the car can be driven and we can get some load on it. Okay, so we got this one set up. We've got about 1.1 lambda at idle, and we've got about 1.03, 1.05 across the rev range, up to 3,500 revs. So this one can be running and be controlled that it's not fueling too much. I'm now going to send the owner out in it and see what he thinks. Just a quick reminder there that not every owner wants to be on film, so that's no problem. I don't try and make every owner to go on film, but I do encourage them obviously to leave a message after the video when it's up. If you do appear on any of my videos, it's completely open to your choice. So you know, there's no expectation that if I turn up for a tune-up to do your car that you will automatically be on the video. That's not the case. These are done by the owner, you know, expressing their permission to actually want to be on the video. So long may that continue, because it then gives the chance for you, the viewers, to obviously see the results. Anyway, let's get back to the presentation. Okay, so down in Verwood, we've got ourselves a late Sprite Mini with a carburetor. So this is another one with that HIF 38 carb. The reason why I'm not doing a walk round is because it's raining. So we're just doing under the bonnet on this one. But we've got the usual late engine, 1275A plus Sprite engine. So this is the standard 52 horsepower engine with a single HIF 38 carb. It's got 65D Dizzy, original coil. It was fitted with Bosch Super 4 spark plugs, so we've obviously taken them out, and I've fitted a set of NGK BP6s in. Coil HT lead resistance. I've just checked. We've got 9k on the King lead, so we're going to put a new set of leads on it as well. Okay, so we got there with this one. In terms of the ignition, what I've advised the customer to do here, because the vacuum unit was not working on this one, is to look at getting a replacement distributor and having it recurved at the same time. The reason is because I didn't have a replacement one with me today, so I didn't want to get into that and not be able to replace that. So I've just timed the Dizzy so it would at least run nicely with the existing timing curve. Obviously, new leads, as we can see there, new plugs, and then over to the carburetor. The existing needle was an AAU, which is what's been fitted with the stage 1 kit. It was very, very lean, very, very, very lean at part throttle all the way across the rev range. So we've been able to modify that. So now we're going to send the customer around it and see what he thinks. So here we are, Totton, Southampton, and we've got a lovely 70s Mini, which actually, although it's kind of been Cooperized, this is an original 850 that's been modified over the years. So let's go and talk to the owner, which is David in this case, and see why he's called us down. Okay, so this is Dave. All right, Dave. Now, some viewers may remember David from an episode where we did the 4-part series at the Riviera run, and David was the last car that I did who had the little 850 Traveller, and he was so happy with that car that he ended up calling me down today to look at his other 1275 base Mini. So why have you called me down?
Oh, basically a flat spot and a misfire I couldn't get rid of on acceleration when you hard throttle. Top end performance was fine, like lower down.
Okay, all right. So, and that was kind of similar to your Traveller, wasn't it? Where
yeah.
So
although this one cruised okay, but just that real bad flat spot.
Okay, all right. So what we'll do then is we'll have a quick look and have a dig through what's there and see if we can solve your problem.
Okay.
Right, so a look under Dave's bonnet reveals a lovely installation. We've actually got an Avonbar racing engine, and in this case it's not a race engine. This is one of Avonbar's road units. So this is a 1380cc engine. It's running a single HIF 44. It's got electronic ignition, you know, all the bits that you'd associate with a decent engine build, and it's running a BP 255 cam. So it's a nice smooth idle. It's kind of a torque pump really. So what we're going to do today is go through this, find out what's causing that elusive flat spot that Dave's alluded to, and then hopefully I'll share that with you, and we can see David on his way. So let's get stuck in. Okay, so the first things we found is vacuum unit on this one is split. So although looking fairly recent, this one's long past it. So we're going to put a new vacuum unit in. Secondly, the distributor itself is about 10, maybe 11 degrees retarded. So this engine was running really flat. What with no vacuum and retarded ignition timing. So we'll get that dialed in with a new vacuum unit. In terms of the coil, that's a 3 ohm unit. I'm deciding not to change this one because I don't know if the module in this particular distributor will run a higher power coil, so I've decided to leave it. The engine's running well with no misfires and it starts properly, so I'm going to leave it as it is. Also, I need to check the plugs and the resistance of the HT lead, so we'll move on to that now. Right, so I've got the ignition system back together. Just to recap, I've fitted a new Mini Spares 1275 vacuum unit on there. We've adjusted the timing now, so I've advanced it 10 degrees. So not only have we got 10 degrees more static advance, we've obviously got whatever another 10 degrees on top of that for part throttle advance as well from the vacuum unit, which is excellent. HT leads are Magna Core KV85, so they all measure as they should do. I have, however, changed the spark plugs. It had some resistor 7s in it, so I've now changed it to non-resistor 7s, and the gap was too big, so I've gapped them at 25 thou. So this now starts and runs on the button. It already feels stronger, so let's turn our attention now to the carburetor and see what that's delivering. So what we got here is, in this carburetor, it was running very lean at part throttle. So initially the mixture had been set rich to compensate, so it was running about 0.83 at idle, so I've dropped that back to about 0.9495. There's a little bit of variance on idle, and I think that's due to the fact that we may have a brass needle valve fitted in the bottom of the carburetor, but I can't fix that today. But moving on to the needle and spring, so we had a red spring and we had a BCV needle, which for a 1380 that's tuned, really we should be running a yellow spring. So I've changed the spring in the dash pot, so we've now got a yellow spring in there, and I've gone to a BDR needle, and this needle seems to be working well, and we are lean at the part throttle end. So I'm now dialing in the needle to get the fueling right, and then hopefully this is going to rip. Okay, so we got this one dialed in the end. Just to recap, coil was okay, H2 leads were okay, the advance angle, the advance curve in the distributor was a tiny bit slow, I feel, but perfectly good enough to make this engine perform very well. What we had to change was the vacuum unit had died, so we put a new vacuum unit on from Mini Spares, a new advance elbow, because the one that was on it was loose. I also fitted a new set of BP7ES spark plugs and gapped them to 25 thou. The engine runs really well, and then obviously moved over to the carburetor. So we had a red spring and a BCV needle. I changed that to a yellow spring and a BDR needle, and then had to modify the part throttle running. I've now got that dialed in with a nice fuel curve, and Dave's been out, or Dave's going to go out in it now and see what he thinks. Okay, so Dave's Mini, he's now been out in it, so let's see what he thinks.
Overall, superb. It's like a rocket ship now. No more flat spots, no hesitance. Drives far better right through the rev range, every gear. Really enjoyable to drive again.
Excellent. Well, I mean, you can't ask for any more than that, really. And the other thing about it is you've now had 2 cars done by me, so you can see that I'm not just a one-trick pony. No,
ACDodd is the man to go to tune your Mini, without a doubt.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you, Davey. We had there was a few little issues, so that we managed to deal with, but nothing out of the ordinary. So anyway, I'm glad you called me down, because your one definitely needed a tune-up, and as you can see now, performs a lot better. So thank you very much for calling me down.
Thank you.
Okay, so here I am down in Bridport, and we've got this beautiful 1100 Clubman, 1979. I love these original cars. Look, one of the wasps that's just attacking me. Right. Oh, there's another one. Look. Plenty of wasps around here. Nice original interior, a nice period mounting steering wheel. I remember my brother used to have one of those on his Mini of the same age. And then round the front, we've got the ubiquitous 1098cc A-series engine, 8.5 to 1 compression, right powerhouse. So let's go and have a word with the owner and see why he's called us down. Okay, so this is Pete. Pete's the owner of this lovely Vermilion. I think that's Vermilion orange, isn't it?
It is. Vermilion red.
Oh, Vermilion red. Sorry, get it right. This lovely 1098. So why have you brought me down here today?
Well, I haven't had the car too long. It's had a stage 1 kit fitted on it, and I think a lot of people have had a mess around with it, and it was not running how it should have been.
Okay, so obviously I've come down to it. It was running well at idle. So what was it doing, or what wasn't it doing?
It's not pulling at all. It's flat, and it's just not happy.
Okay.
It really isn't.
All right. So perhaps sounds a bit raucous and
It
just doesn't want to go.
Yeah, it won't get into high revs, and if you try to get into high revs, it takes an age to get there.
Okay. All right. Well, let's have a dig in, see what we can find. Right, so under the business end, I'm already into this one. Coil is a high energy unit to go with the Power Spark high energy Dizzy that's fitted. The advance curve on this one seems to be pretty reasonable, so we're not touching that at all. Already gone through, checked the leads, they're all good. Spark plugs, they were all good as well. So these had already been set at 35 thou. So we'll give Pete a nod there for actually getting his plug gaps right, because he's probably 1 out of 100 so far that's actually managed to do that. So well done. The only thing I could find wrong with the ignition was the fact is Pete told me he had problems setting the ignition timing because there was no marks. So I managed to use the marks on the flywheel end, because there isn't any on the other end of this engine, and sure enough, we were set at 25 degrees TDC, or 25 degrees before TDC static. So yeah, far too much advance. So what we're doing here is I've taken out 15 degrees, the engine runs a lot better, and now I'm changing my attention to the carburetor, which is proving to be a challenge. So let's dive into that, and I'll report back in the next update and let you know what we find. Okay, so we've got the engine all nicely dialed in. As I said before, ignition system was all good apart from a timing change. In this case, it's got a single HS4 SU on it with a standard airbox, and it's been drilled. So Pete had already drilled it, but actually what I'd done is I went round and made the holes a bit bigger, because he'd gone a bit sparingly on the holes, which is fair enough. The carburetor was a little bit finicky, a little bit of wear in there, but I was able to adjust the choke linkage, which was not holding the jet up in place. So done that, made the carb settle down a little bit, and then we had to work on the needle. In this case, we had an AAU needle, which was, as usual, too lean, from 2 right the way across to 5,000 revs. So anyway, adjusted that, and we've now got an engine that runs really strong. So we're going to let Pete go out in it now and see what he thinks. Okay, so the moment of truth. Pete's been out for a drive. What's it like now, Pete?
It's absolutely fantastic. Just saying, I'm not going to have to take bags to balance with me now whenever I go out. No, it's really, really good. Absolutely fantastic. Completely different.
Okay, so in terms of being completely different, what's different about it?
Revving through the range, it's got fuels there, everything's there. It's just got more torque. It's just so much more enjoyable to drive. Okay,
so yeah, it's smoother. You don't have to thrash it.
No.
And you don't have to put your foot hard down to make it go.
No, it just feels really, really nice.
Excellent. Okay, and the interesting thing about yours, there was only 2 things that were really wrong with it. One was too much ignition advance, yep. And the second thing was quite a small adjustment on the needle.
Yep.
But it made all the difference.
Fantastic.
All right. Anyway, thanks for calling me out.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. That was the latest crop of cars that I've been doing. If you're interested in getting your car tuned, it doesn't have to be a Mini. Obviously, I do a lot of Minis because that's what I'm known for. But if you've got a car with an SU on it that you think needs a tune, then please get in contact. Anyway, to do that, just send me a message on Facebook Messenger and I'll get right back to you. Anyway, as ever, thank you very much. Like and subscribe. See you soon.